Attitude is a key factor in a person's life. It defines how a person reacts to a certain action or events. It is seen when he or she talks or interacts with others. Several researchers have proven that attitudes do have an effect on a person's health, whether it's positive or negative. It has been shown through other investigations that senior citizens are more prone than any other demographic to suffer from negative attitudes because of negative emotions triggered by depression, loneliness, abandonment, aging, sicknesses, among other factors.
Martin Seligman, PhD in positive psychology, states that good feelings have healing effects on the body, and researchers have found that a person's mindset can influence on his immune system and the rate at which he heals from injuries and illness. In contrast, thinking negatively has an opposite effect because it is shown that pessimism is one of the main factors of depression, as mentioned by Psychology Today.
Positive attitudes affect our health through several ways. For example, the immune system. Positive people tend to fight off common colds and other ailments more effectively than negative people. Negative thinking may cause areas of the brain to weaken the immune response to the flu vaccine, according to a study developed by the University of Wisconsin and the New York Times in 2003.
Nearly 100 women were analyzed in the National Institute of Health. The results show that the optimistic women were 30% less likely to die from heart diseases, while the negative ones were 23% more likely to suffer from cancer. As well, the American Heart Association showed that optimists have a 75% lower risk of heart failure than negative people. A study from Denmark found that optimist patients with heart disease are 42% less likely to die, and the American Journal of Cardiology found that optimism helps keeping cholesterol levels low. In other words, being positive reduces the risk of cardiovascular diseases, which, according to INEGI, are the first cause of mortality of senior citizens between 60 and 85 years in Monterrey.
Also, optimism lowers the risk of suffering from a stroke, especially in people over the age of 50, according to Medscape.
Negative emotions narrow the mind and focus the thought. They program the brain to do a specific action. The brain is programmed to respond in a negative way to negative stimuli. One study showed that 79% of medical students reported developing symptoms suggestive of the illness they're studying, because they get paranoid and think they'll get sick. Their bodies comply by actually getting sick. Focusing attention on illness is scientifically proven to predispose the body to illnesses.
It has been researched by the Trinity College of Dublin that the adults that develop a negative attitude about aging tend to affect their cognitive abilities, have difficulties walking, and other mental and physical health problems. It is known from the census of 2015 that 17 out of every 100 senior citizens in Nuevo León live with a disability.
The traditional Chinese Medicine World Foundation says that the emotions are related to the organ. Joy is connected to the heart, anger is connected to the liver and gallbladder. A lot of anger affects biological processes that include headaches, dizziness, and high blood pressure. Anxiety affects the lung and the large intestine. Grief affects the lungs, causing severe injuries and possible respiratory diseases. Fear affects the kidneys and bladder. Fright affects the heart, which can evolve into a chronic disease and affect the kidneys as well.
The population selected is senior citizens between 60 and 85 years that live in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, because the community of senior citizens in Mexico has been growing exponentially in the last few years according to INEGI. So, in order to understand their health, status, and lifestyles, their community has been chosen. Since the population is made of 110,000 senior citizens between 60 and 85 years in Monterrey, Nuevo León, the sample taken is of 3% of the population, meaning 33 members.
Senior citizens are more prone to go to grief due to the social context. It has been said that this emotion may develop into respiratory diseases, which is the second cause of mortality of senior citizens in Nuevo León, according to the census of INEGI in 2015.
As it has been said, the three most common causes of mortality of senior citizens in Nuevo León are cardiovascular diseases, respiratory diseases, and diabetes mellitus. The three of them are much related with emotions and attitudes, as mentioned. Diabetes tends to cause anger and depression on its victims due to high levels of HbA1c, according to NICE. The relation between A1C, and some mood states have been found to be modified by neuroticism. In other words, a patient who is more inclined to complain was associated with worse glycemic control.
As a person grows older, the familiarity in which he or she relied on changes, causing feelings of abandonment, grief, loss, insecurity, and loss of self-worth. Also, the inevitability of death leads to anxiety, and as elderly people become less physically able to live an independent life, depression might appear.
In order to understand the context in which the person is living, as well as the health status and the quality of life that he or she is living, it is important to know if factors such as sleep hours, exercise, balanced and healthy lifestyle, among others, are affecting the patient.
After surveys and through investigation, it can be observed that, in average, most of senior citizens are aware that negative attitudes have an impact on their health, so they choose to live a positive, healthy, well-balanced life, despite of the disadvantages of being elderly. They have a positive attitude, live a healthy life, sleep well, exercise regularly, control their stress. Hence, they don't suffer from diseases and enjoy from an excellent health status.
With that being said, the hypothesis which says that negative attitudes have a negative impact on the health of senior citizens between the age gap of 60 and 85 in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, is proven correctly since attitudes do have an impact on health, depending if it's positive or negative.
From this research, some others can be developed. For example, a research that answers to: at what age do attitudes affect health the most? Where in the human body do attitudes affect the most? Why do attitudes affect on health? How do attitudes affect on health? And how often do people suffer illnesses because of attitudes?
With the discoveries that come from this research and the ones that can arise from it, new technology can be made in order to solve this problem. For example, a bracelet that monitors your blood pressure. When the levels go up due to strong emotions, it will sound an alert so that you can calm down and reflect to maintain a positive mentality and a good health. This bracelet can be controlled with a mobile app that has tips to calm down and stay positive, your current blood pressure, reminders in case a user is taking pills such as antidepressants or to drink water, exercise, or other healthy habits, and soothing music. Also, awareness campaigns can be made so that the society can be conscious about the situation and reduce pessimism.
In the future, it's expected for society to improve their life habits. Therefore, people will be healthier, more positive, and will live longer. As well, there will be less need to attend to the doctor because less people will be sick. Also, new technology will be developed such as mobile apps, medicines, therapies, messages, methods to relax, among others. In time, we will create a culture of positivity and good health habits.
Of course, at the beginning, not everyone will be fond of this change in mentality. For example, doctors, medics, pharmaceutics, and people in charge of the medical and pharmaceutical business will oppose to this change because this implies that less and less people will require a consult or medicines and would rather depend on alternative medicine, causing them to start losing their jobs.
Now that you are aware of the situation, it is important not to keep this information quiet, but rather share it with the world and make something about it, because as Dr. Seuss once said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.